Rita Casman. So welcome, Rita. And Rita, I'll let you tell them what we're going to be talking about today.
Oh my God, we're going to talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, or let's say the one that we're going to use to start with, is I don't know what's the name now of the pageant. How's the name?
Enchantment pageant
Oh,
system.
it's still the same. Great.
Yeah, it's still the same.
I like that name, I like the word enchantment because if we think about enchantment is, about basically showing your charming side.
And magical and
Yeah. What makes you unique and sparkly,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. That's the
Yeah.
name of our film studio as well, is Enchantment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And how did you come across with that word?
Well, I went to New Mexico about 11 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
Albuquerque, and I fell in love with the spiritual aspect of Albuquerque because it's built down into the mountains.
Yeah.
Um, even when the plane landed on the way to my hotel, I just felt this magic enchantment. It was like the land of enchantment, and I think that's their slogan for New Mexico, the land of enchantment.
Oh, I had
And
never heard that.
but
Yeah.
I've also had people when they meet me, they would say, "You're just so enchanting." And I never really knew what that meant. But then when I learned, I was like, well, I guess I am. Because, I believe in magic. I believe in things happening and the law of attraction and all of that. So it just seemed fitting.
So it's kind
And
of
then
like
when
part of
we,
your brand, right? Because
it
that's the
is.
adjective that they said. That's great. I've been to New Mexico and I love it because my husband's grandparents live there. Well, now it's his grandmother lives there and his uncle, and I really like it. But yeah, let's talk about that. The secret, because I could tell you. I mean, some people it hurts their ears when you say expert, but the truth is that I am an expert on the
It's
secret, and
true.
I created my own course on that. So let's talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about it. Go
Well,
ahead.
well, the secret, it's much more than the documentary. I mean, the
Mhm.
documentary that we see, they did that one. They did Beyond the Secret. They did another one with the 12 Universal Laws, which is really good. Um, it's more than testimonials from all these people, which by the way, I'm about to start my program with what's his name, John Azaraf, I think is his name. He's one of the guys from The Secret, and he's basically
Oh,
he's the one that I mostly clicked with.
yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, he offered this
Oh,
program for nothing, and I was able to do it. So I start next week because I'm gonna take like an internal retreat, and basically this is to make it not that short but not that long either. um I discovered The Secret before I was told about it in the documentary when I was 10. And when I was, well, 10 or 11, I had a problem with this ear. I had this really bad infection and I was about to lose my ear because some parts of the internal ear, sorry, were kind of damaged, and it was very hard to kind of like replace it. So my mom always says that the doctor exaggerated, but I don't, I don't think so because I really felt like I was not going to hear again. So
oh,
I remember that I obviously did, ask about the angels and masters like Jesus and stuff like that. But I also thought about, okay, I'm gonna get better. I'm not gonna lose my ear. I still sometimes have problems with it, but after I started like really applying it, I even like I would actually go maybe every year to get a ear cleaning. Now I haven't done it like in 4 years or three, so
oh,
it does
wow.
work. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I had that manifest. Obviously I used some medicine and it did clear out, but I also discovered that it was me that let that happen. So I started to study that. Okay, so what is free will? What's a miracle? What's magic? So I had always, followed The Secret, but I really didn't. I was like, but why does sometimes it work and sometimes it doesn't? So when I came to America, basically that was probably my first biggest quantum leap per se. So this is what I did. This is very simple. I just, like I said on the last show, I saw this 62,000K, master's degree. And I just said, I didn't think about where am I going to get the money. Nothing. I'm just like, if this is for me, I feel like it's for me. I feel like I'm going to. So I just put it out to the universe and to God and to me, but I didn't worry every night to see how I would make it happen. Like I would just do whatever. The rest I would just let it go. I really let it go. And I ended up there, like a year after.
One of the things that I always say when I'm trying to manifest something, I set it and forget it. And I think that's the key. You put it out there and then you don't think about it anymore. Because you have to believe that it's going to happen. So you set it and forget it.
But something else that's very important, because they say that the creative process asks, believe, and receive. But when you ask, you also have to give something, and it's not necessarily money, but you have to give something. I gave a big sacrifice, and for me was to leave my family, to change my lifestyle, and to really just jump without seeing anything beneath me. And somebody that really helped me to do that after I came here was Steve Harvey. I would go to several of his shows and he would always talk about the jump. And I'm like, if you jump, your parachute will open. But if you don't, then why would it open? I'm like, yeah. So I'm on the right track, So that this is why when you do those things for one area in your life, suddenly another area that you weren't like necessarily working on gets solved as well. And that's how I met my husband so fast, because I made space, for that. But not just because I thought about my dream. It's because I came here with just like 2 pairs of luggage, and I always had a lot of stuff, and the rest I left it. So it just happened right now that I got, we manifested a new home with my husband, our first, own home, as homeowners. And same thing, I had 5 years living in LA with all that lifestyle stuff, and I had all that junk that really I didn't need. And this time I did have to deal with it, because when I left Guatemala, I didn't have time to see what I left. I just took what I could, what fitted. But here I was able to see everything. Like I took off like 9 big garbage bags of stuff, that I really didn't need anymore. And that made space for other things. So it's just that decluttering is not just a physical thing. It's also our computers, our cell phones, our iPads, people that we don't need anymore. And it's not to fight with people. It's because it's time to let go, It's an evolution.
If you think about it, for instance, like your computer, when you download, after a while, your computer's going to get full, and you've got to dump some of that data to free up. Your computer will get slow. It may quit on you, or it may stop and start back up by itself. It's because it's overloaded. Our bodies are no different. Our brain can get overloaded. So we've got to dump some of that stuff. And in our lives too, like clothes. I've got a whole room of clothes right now that
whatever you're not using, right? Because this is what I would do, Lisa. I would be like, okay, I'm gonna buy this, right? By the way, I love this. But let's say that I was gonna buy this, right? Because I liked it and because it was cheap or whatever, But I maybe used it once and then I don't use it again. But then I didn't want to let it go because I'm like, well, that costed me money. But if I really don't use it, even if I like it that much, but I really don't use it, then I just have to let it go, because that would magically make space so I get money to pay to pay it later, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I never thought it that way. Never.
No. Well, I think both of us, I mean, we've been friends for a while, but we realize that, and we're at that juncture in our life that it's okay to walk away from those things, because we do know that if you walk away from those things, better things are going to take its place.
Yeah. But we really have to analyze it, because sometimes we don't. And since we don't confront it, we don't deal with it, we don't deal with our numbers or with our bank accounts or anything, then it it doesn't get so it's the magic in that sense, which is there's a lot of types of magic, that the magic would be to do what you have to do, because magic is not always with a magician and making things manifest like this. It's there's also some things that take time, you know. So I think that's very important for us to really learn the difference also between our own will and our subconscious, because sometimes we have the will but we don't do it. It's because we have to think about this, we have to work with our conscience, you know,
Yeah,
to make that happen.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I live my life. Is I can remember being before I even started. I think my parents had taken us over to a friend's of their house, and the little girl had the black patent leather shoes with the socks. Now I wasn't jealous. I've never been a jealous person, but I just thought, I'm gonna have a pair of shoes like
Those
that. And
I
a month later, I was I have two brothers, and it was just me and my mom and dad in the car. I was sitting in the back seat, and my mom just out of the blue tells my dad, "Hey, let's stop by Tom McCann. I want to buy Lisa a new pair of shoes." And guess what they were? My mom picked them out.
the ones you wanted that, with little things. That's how it starts. Look, without going too far, I used to live in Highland Park in Los Angeles. That's pretty near Pasadena, so I would
Mhm.
always say Pasadena. And for Christmas, there's a part of that neighborhood where they put these amazing houses. So my husband would always take me there ever since we're married, you know. And every time we would see them, we're like, we're gonna have a house one day, and we're gonna get it like that. And
Mhm.
guess what?
Yep.
That's what we made happen. It's like I feel like the Chris Broad family Christmas tree and the family Christmas house, you know, because we would do it every year, but we would never feel any envy for those people. No, we're like they're
Yeah.
happy
You
with their
can't.
apartment, but we'll get that house, you know, and
Yeah.
we'll decorate it like that. Yeah.
And you the video of what we wanted to be the original Boss Diva house because we wanted to film there. And then
Oh yeah, yeah, I did see it. Yeah.
and then my investor said, "No, no, no, this is no good. This is no good." He's Italian. So I'm thinking, oh, it's my dream. It's my dream. And so he found another house for us in Naples, Florida, that I think he's going to purchase. But I got to thinking, there is no reason why I can't go ahead and buy that other house myself. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason why. Just and I could film there when I wanted to, and I see the realistic part of why he wants the other house, because the house in Pompano Beach is literally this far from the other house. You could look out the bedroom window and see the other people in their bedroom. So I get that why he thinks that house is.
Yeah, because sometimes you can get something better than
Mhm,
what you think. And another thing is something that we've been talking about. We also have to liberate space,
mhm.
make space and time, not just like the physical space, but actually the time and the space to do things. Because if not, it's just talk, talk, talk. And that's what happened with me. I was like, okay, I'm getting all these things done, but what about these things? And it's because of that. I had to like actually like declare like everything. I did this like mini course with Sarah Prout, which is a great manifester coach. And she has this manifesting academy. And I remember that I just paid like $1 to try it for 1 month. And that's
Oh
the
my
one that I
goodness.
did. Oh my God, it changed my life. No, so many courses, that have
Yeah.
changed my life. But yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, and if you say, well, you know what, I really don't even have a credit card to invest right now. Well, then look for stuff in YouTube or
Mhm,
get them for free first, and then you'll manifest that money to pay whatever you want to study. I mean,
mhm.
that's how you start with. That's how you do it. So never let anything stop you from doing something that you want. But the secret is about, letting go,
Mhm.
about the creation process, about forgiveness, which is letting go, about it's also about visualization and actually like really committing to that time to visualize whatever works for you, pictures, objects, whatever, but really take that commitment, because if we don't do it, then we don't apply it. So I would just apply it for big things, but I didn't apply for little things. You have to apply that for everything. And you have to
Yeah.
give it like your all, and the gratitude, whew, That is
Mhm.
very, very
That is,
magical too.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be grateful for everything. Even the little tiny things, you've got to express that gratefulness.
Even the problems, because the problems
Mhm.
make us grow.
That's
Yeah.
true. I never thought about that before, but that is true.
Yeah.
And sometimes, that old saying, it's either a lesson or a blessing. That is so true. But the blessing comes from the gratefulness. You,
Yeah. And it also comes from the lesson, if you see
Yep,
it that way. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Nothing will never happens just because of that. But yeah, and really invest also on things that are gonna make you more and also produce you like either money or investment or something. Because for example, people say, well, why coaching is so expensive? Well, because it's all about mindset.
Hmm.
But really spending money on coaching is the best thing you can do,
And mine,
because that will produce
that's
for you.
true. Mindset, like with life coaching, what you do, you have to deal. All right, say for instance, over 60. Well, for six
Mm-hmm.
years, my mindset has been a certain way, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to come recondition that mindset. And is lengthy and it can be expensive, but it's so worth it. Oh my God.
Because you'll get it back, like for sure.
Yeah, you'll get
But
it back.
that's the thing, without expecting when, because if we start with the anxiety of where's the money, oh my God, then we'll never get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Or
gotta let it go.
or here's another thing, because I'm an executive producer on films as well. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'll call a writer or a producer, and I'll say, "Look, I submitted this to the investor, and we should know something soon." These people will bug me and bug me and bug me to death because they're so anxious to get it funded, and it aggravates me, and I'm the one that needs to stay positive, but
Yeah.
they will harass me. Did you hear from the investor? Did you hear from the investor? And I don't have any control over that. So, and I'm dealing with one now from California, but you know how those people from California are.
Because I'm Californian too.
But so thankfully that I do have the mindset of set it and forget it. And I try to explain that to people whenever I take on a project, that I have actually been at a closing table ready to sign paper, the deal not go through. So I try not to get excited about it until the papers are actually signed, because even though I've said it and forget it, if it's not right with the universe or the timing's not right, it's not going to happen. It's all about timing.
Yeah. And anyways, get excited, because whenever it happens, it's gonna happen. It already happened because you already
Exactly.
had it in
And
your
you have
mind.
to think that way. You have to think, okay, and want should not be in your vocabulary at all. I have should be in your
Or
vocabulary.
I
I
am is
am.
the important thing. And even if you
Mhm.
say, let's say this is a new one for me, I am a millionaire, and people be like, that's funny. Well, it's better to laugh than to be crying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Who cares? I mean,
Yeah,
it's not about fake it until you make it. It's about believing it first to make it a reality. Because
that's
what
right.
is, really, ask yourself, I mean, what is being rich? I mean, I consider myself rich. I thought I wasn't,
Mhm.
but I actually started analyzing. I'm like, I am rich. The difference is that maybe I'm not a millionaire yet, like in like my bank, but I am in my mind. So it's just a matter
Exactly.
of time for it to manifest in my bank account, so I can be a philanthropist, which is like one of
Mhm.
my biggest dreams.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Everything's coming, but we really have to convince ourselves. And the most important part of this, Lisa, which I'm pretty sure you know, is the people that we surround ourselves. Because other people, it's not that they're bad people, okay? But if
Mhm.
they have the mindset of like, you're crazy, that's not possible, you're not gonna do it. You're not gonna
Mm-mm.
do it. So I had to let go. Let's say a lot of people in Guatemala, which are still like my buddies, but maybe are not as my close friends, is because they stopped talking to me, not because they don't like me anymore. It's because they think different. They're like, well, she's doing something that I think is not possible. So
Mhm.
why? So at the beginning, it would hurt me, but I'm like, you know what? It makes sense, because why are they gonna get together with somebody that they don't have anything in common with anymore?
Mhm. And
You
sometimes
gotta
that
let
can
it
be
go
your
too.
family. that can be your family sometimes, because your family is so
Mhm.
critical. I've been in this business a long time, and I've had a lot of projects that we started and they fell apart. And your family is your worst critic, because they're like, oh, well, it's not really going to
What's
happen.
your real job?
Yeah, exactly. That's what my dad says a lot. When are you going
My
to get a
husband says that
real
too. I'm like,
job?
you keep on saying that because you said that you wanted to retire before you were 40. You manifested me, and now you didn't think that that would imply to help me with some stuff economically. But he's 33 years old. I told him, give me even less than 7 years, and you'll see that you will retire and you will become an investor, because he likes
Mhm.
films. I'm like, you're gonna be one of your investments is gonna be films with whatever I make or whatever you make.
Well,
So that's
you're
the
under
thing.
the
We just
right
don't
people.
know how we're gonna do it. Yeah, we just don't know. But Lisa, tell me, how did you start in the business? Because that I think I don't know much about.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, I
my
don't
mother
remember.
was my mother was a model in the 1960s. So I've literally grown up in the industry. And then I was actually a retail manager. I was the operations manager for TJ Maxx for a while, and Cato's. I was a manager for Cato's, Wilson's Leather, and a couple other smaller retails. I was a retail manager, and then I think I was working for Dress Barn, and I started the modeling agency in 98. So that's been in business since 1998. And that's what's over 45 locations all over the United States. But about 5 years ago, I thought, I just not just the modeling agency is okay, but I want to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the thought of being behind the scenes in the movies. And it seemed like that's where the universe wanted me to go, because all these people kept coming to my life
Uh-huh.
that were, Lisa, you really should do this. You should do this. So we formed the entertainment group about 5 years ago. And in that group, we have a record label, a image consulting firm that does very well in California,
Nah.
all the superficial people in California. Um, and I don't mean that negatively either. It's just a joke, but it seems to do the best in California. And so we have the record label, we have a media company, and a couple other things within the umbrella of the entertainment group. And we're worldwide now. We're global now, and that wasn't really what I wanted to manifest. It just kind of, I
But
guess,
sometimes it's
threw it
not
out there.
exactly, but it's kind of like the universe helps you, like, okay, you're missing this, and there you go with your push, because you know how to communicate with the universe very well, and that's great. Oh my God, that is so amazing. So it's been for a very long time. I
Long.
never, because I've just been here for 5 years, but I feel like it's for more, because I've been working towards this dream indirectly since I'm like 21, so it's been
Probably
like
before
six.
that.
Yeah.
Because even as a child, we learn
Yeah,
how
as a
to
child. Yeah.
manifest some things.
Yeah, I always knew. I was like, I'm gonna be a star. I'm gonna
Mhm.
be a singer. I'm gonna
I
be an
used to,
actor. I'm gonna be a teacher, life coach. I always said that. I'm gonna be a philanthropist. I'm gonna give toys to the kids. I would say, yeah, it's
when
interesting, right? Yeah,
I
we know
remember
that.
being in school, my mother used to get notes home all the time about me. She said that she could not stop me from daydreaming. And,
The
but I
secret.
think daydreaming is manifestation. I mean, I knew from the time I was probably 6 or 7 who I wanted to be when I grew up. I knew what kind of house I wanted to live in. I knew what kind of car, a Corvette. I had to have a Corvette, and I had one. I bought one. And you
Interesting.
kind of, it's daydreaming is using your imagination. And I have raised, I have 4 children. So I have raised them all in the fact that you can be anything you want to be as
Mm-hmm.
long as you want to be it. You have to work hard and keep that focus. Don't lose track of your dream. And in modeling, one thing I found out with younger girls, say 13 to 17, they're, oh, I want to be a model, I want to be a model, but they grow into boys and they lose the focus.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, I do sign girls and boys that age, but I have noticed by the time they're 17, they're more into boys and girls and moving on to that part. And once they get a boyfriend, it's like I've lost their interest.
That
Not
definitely did take off my track and as well before with other relationships, and I also had to change my mindset about what is working hard. Working hard is not necessarily having sweat, it's just actually doing what you have to do. But also it's the mindset. I mean, you really took care of your dreams and of your mindset, and that's why you didn't lose track in all of these years. And let's say if I really analyze all my life, like ever since I'm a child, I think that every time that I'm about to lose my track, I come back because it's kind of like a compass. You know, here's north, south. You know,
exactly.
east and west, right? Or west and east. Yeah. Well, in my side. So it's like, okay, this is my north. This is where I'm going at. But once I'm starting, hey, no, get back
Hmm.
on track. You know, so
And a
you
lot
just
of times
basically
it's not you. A lot of times it is not you that is causing the focus to go another way. It's other people distracting you.
yeah, absolutely. You know, this is a great, I love these comments I'm seeing about John. I stumbled onto The Secret a few years back when I started acting professionally. Awesome. I watched the documentary night before last. Yeah, you know, I did actually a thing about watching it one time every night for 30 days and then
I
just
did
once a week
too.
or once every time. It's because it goes to your subconscious and you just start discovering other things. So you should do it too because that will give you miracles for sure. And and yeah, be the right to raise everyone's boat for sure, William. You're
Yep.
totally right. I can give you an example of about another boss diva that I would like for you to have in your show. And sure, her name is Giovanna Salas. Giovanna is a Mexican, and she came here basically without nothing. She started painting, and then she became a
Oh,
producer. She started her own thing that's called Heart of Hollywood. You know, it's a production company. They also have their own streaming platform that started. She started the magazine and a community basically of producers and stuff like that. And oh my god, I learned so much about her because she's like, you never do anything alone. You know, you always do it with
mhm.
help from people and stuff. And oh my god, I would love to see an article of you there because actually that was my first article. It was with
Oh,
Heart of Hollywood. Yeah, it was called Rising Stars. I'm like, oh my god, that was so,
oh,
I felt so honored. You know, because I just graduated,
yeah.
know what I was doing. But it's just so awesome. Those are the people, you know, those stories that we need to know about different levels of success because
Mhm.
if we just see a certain, you know, like maybe one of the highest ones, it will look not as believable. But if we see about people that are still stepping, it would definitely help us as well. So we kind of need like the two types of personalities, which is the two types
Exactly.
of influencers that I
Mhm.
consider, you know. So I'll definitely send you her information because it's so interesting, her life path. And she's an amazing
And
painter too.
you
And
talk about,
Lisa, do you have like a biography with all of your
mhm.
accomplishments?
No,
Do
I
you have
don't like with all of them, because I think it looks tacky when you put like all these.
but
I
I can work on that for you. I mean, maybe not
okay,
all your accomplishments, but like what how's your life been, you know?
yeah,
Because
yeah, we'll
we
work
need
on
to tell
that.
the story more. Yeah.
But you were talking about the steps. When I did work in retail, because I was working, I think I was working at Cato's. I was assistant manager when I first opened the agency, and it, um, I used my paycheck to fund the agency. Because
Oh my,
modeling agency, you really don't make until the models
takes a while.
make money. And since I was it took me a long time. It took me probably 5 years before I actually made money, profit. So I was
Yeah.
working as a retail manager and funneling all my money into the agency. And sometimes that's what you have to do. I deal with a lot of people that I call, they have their Friday paycheck job, but they want to be an actor. And I admire that. because
Yeah.
even though you're working hard for someone else, you haven't lost your dream, and you're going to make allowances to go if I send you on an acting job. And
Yeah,
that
because
means
you
a
have
lot
to
to
be
you.
well to go and act, right? You're not going to
Yeah.
be like, I mean, I definitely admire people that have even been homeless and doing it still, like Halle
Mhm.
Berry, but not all of us have the same capability. For example, for
True.
me, I probably wouldn't have survived if I would have been homeless. But I did survive, for example, with rent control, and I did survive not having a car 5 years in Los
Mhm.
Angeles.
Oh,
That is my situation. And then other situations is not that they're stronger, is that for them that was the situation that they chose and that they have the capability of doing it. But you have to be, if you're like, for example, the guy from the Pursuit of Happiness, he would go there and without taking a shower because he had the capability to do that. It's not that everybody should do that.
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, like we were talking about earlier, that evolved out of the entertainment group, I was in New Mexico helping on a veterans. Were you there? Were you
Yeah.
there at that event? You were
I'm sorry, what did you say? I kind of
the
lost you
one
there.
in New Mexico where we did the show for the veterans.
I didn't go, but I did know about it. Yeah, I remember.
Well, that's kind of how the Enchantment US pageant started, with
Mm-hmm.
that particular person that was, I want to say, working with my company.
Yeah.
And when she come to me and said, "Hey, you want to do a pageant?" And I was like, "I don't know anything about a pageant." And honestly,
But
sounds
we kind of it kind
horrible.
of helped us because now we kind of know how, right? And now
That's
we're just
right.
creating, making our own rules. That's why I'm the first Miss
Mhm.
Enchantment Christmas,
That's
Christmas
right.
2020.
2020, yeah. And the reason why we kind of fell to the wayside is because I got cancer. And a lot of people didn't know that. So I had to, I mean, this was right after we started the pageant. Right after I found I had cancer, and I really had to deal with that. I couldn't
Totally.
focus on I couldn't focus. I had to focus on getting well. So I did, and I'm 100% well, cancer
Oh my
free,
God,
so
that's
happy.
great.
But we learned some hard lessons. You and I both did with that pageant,
Mhm.
but we're revamping it, and it is going to be amazing.
Yes, it's just sometimes this is what happens, Lisa, and it just happened to me in my spiritual journey, like with the life coaching people, because what happens is that this also happened to me when I came here. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna be, meeting people that want to make their dreams come true, and yeah, that's true. But a lot of them won't do. You will use the ego, and when that happens, you get disappointed. So you just have to be not maybe ready to see who's gonna turn you down. But if it happens, okay, fine, next. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what can happen in any area, basically. So
Mhm.
it happens also in the pageant, uh, which is not necessarily just a superficial life, because we are doing it in the sense of for philanthropy, right? For example,
Yeah.
this person would be like more about the external. I'm like, well, I'm not that type of queen, because I am a model, but I'm not a runway model. You know what I mean?
And I know when she first came to me and asked me if I wanted to be involved in opening a pageant, um, and I think you know me, I'm not one that is about money. I'm more about my name being a really good name and being known for helping people and that kind of thing. And the first thing that she said was, "We'll make a lot of money," and that is not an enticement for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but when I did realize, of course, the only thing that I didn't really like, but I'm sure it's standard in the pageant industry, is
Mm-hmm.
each delegate had their own platform. I want the pageant to have a platform, and I want
Uh-huh.
it to be domestic violence.
There give us a plat. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like that's a better thing.
yeah, and
As
now I might be wrong, but it's my pageant, so I can do what I want.
yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. People have to show changes so other people can change.
Hmm.
Maybe the pageant industry needs to change too.
And our fiscal sponsor, which me and you have talked about, is from theheartproductions.com. We
Hmm.
have Stand Strong for Justice, which is a docu-series, and you're gonna have an
Oh
hour
yeah,
show.
you already have my recordings.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have an hour show on there. So, and there'll be reenactments of your life, and it's gonna be amazing. But so From the Heart Productions has Stand Strong for Justice on their platform. So
Mhm.
any money that's donated goes to From the Heart. It benefits hundreds of other people within From the Heart
Yeah.
production, not only us. So the money helps them, and then part of the money goes to Strong for Justice for us to continue filming. And we have about 3 seasons, I think, completed. They're in editing now. And with me getting cancer, it kind of put a stop on that for a little while. But we have the footage, and we're going
Wow,
to.
but you are so strong. I mean, bravo for you, and also bravo for me because it happened to me twice too, once when I was 25, cervical cancer almost, and then when I was 32, 31, yeah, in 2017, ovarian cancer. And we got up, whatever, if you went through chemo, not went through chemo, we're still survivors. So
Right.
that's great. That's a great example. I can't wait to see you on Oprah or something.
How about on Power Divas in Charge?
Yeah.
I'm the next.
I
Well,
can't
I don't
wait to
want to
get
say
my stuff so
that.
I can wear it and like do like my own campaign.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'll be the next Oprah, but I'm gonna because I don't want to be Oprah. I admired her, for
Uh-huh.
years. I don't want to be
Yes,
her.
Lisa.
I want to be Lisa Robinson.
Yeah, I actually one part of my brand of one of my alternate brands is the Latina Oprah version.
Oh, I
And
love
it's
it.
kind of like that because I want to do. I see Ellen DeGeneres do it too, and not just Oprah. Like voiceover and like her philanthropy and like her show. Like I want to have my talk show too. So you're like making one of my dreams come true. While you're interviewing me here because it's kind of like pushing me to do it. So that's super awesome.
Oh, you're.
I really
I'm gonna
appreciate that.
push you a lot harder.
Yeah,
we
no,
got
thank
lots.
you
Let me just say,
for
we
that
got
space.
lots of stuff to do.
Yeah, I know. But we'll make time. If we
We
make
will.
space, we make it work at least once a week.
Yeah,
We're good.
and too, we have the radio show, which me and you have been trying to work that in, and it hasn't happened yet. But we have the radio show for domestic violence too, and many, many other topics. So
Hmm.
I want to have you regularly on the radio show too.
I
But
love.
I think one of our films should be funding within the next couple of weeks. So
Hmm.
we're going to be like super busy filming. Or
And then we'll figure
yeah,
out the rate.
so we
Yeah.
have to figure out our schedule of when we're going to do these
I got my
shows.
microphone, by the way. I didn't bring it right now. Totally forgot because I left it upstairs because I don't have that habit. But I do have my microphone. So now, next time I'm gonna use my microphone. That way you hear better my voice. Because even though you're seeing me, when I watch podcasts and I see them, like video and the voice, how it sounds with the microphone, it's
Uh-huh.
different. And you're like, that sounds better.
Well, I have to try mine too because I did buy a very expensive microphone.
Use it, use
So I
it.
know. But see, my desk here is wood, and it's meant to. It has a little screw where you screw it on a desk that's thin. And well, I might could open my drawer or something and put my microphone here. But it's really nice. It's pink.
Oh, cool. What about if you get like a stand for it? You can put it on your
Yeah,
desk
and I
and
do
then it
have a
stays like
stand.
this.
Yeah, I do have a stand at home. I'll bring it to my office.
Yeah, yeah, because there it's wasted.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to look all radio-ish.
Yeah. No, you actually already look radio-ish. I'm gonna take a screenshot. Wait.
Okay.
Stand still. 1, 2, 3. There you go. I'll send it to you and you'll see
Okay.
that I am not light.
Well, I have to advertise too.
Yeah. Oh, show us what's there. Let me see. Grab something to the camera better.
My skincare line is beautiful. I was a little disappointed that it's plastic. I really wanted
Uh,
glass, but then I thought, one of my friends, she came over and she said, well, really, it's better if it's plastic because if you drop it, it's not going to break. But the white is my favorite because it's
That one
rose
looks
gold
cool.
and white. But my idea, the woman that was helping me with the line, she said, why are you splitting your line into black and white? Because they do have black, and they do have white.
Mm-hmm.
I could have went either way. But I told her, I said, this product is going to go mainly marketed to older women like my
Mm-hmm.
age. And glasses on, which I usually don't, and I take my contacts out when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always having to do like this. And whereas the black, I know it's night cream. No matter what, I
That
always,
makes sense, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my thing with that. And then of course, I have my Power Diva in charge mugs.
I can't wait to get mine. So
I'm
cool.
sending. I was waiting till everything came in to pack your thing, but you're gonna
Oh,
get a package, and I'm not even gonna tell you what's in it, but it's gonna have a lot of stuff in it.
Merry Christmas to
Merry
me.
Christmas. And Chrissia ordered 2 mugs, so I'm sending those out to her today. So it's exciting. I love product line because it's fun, and it's fun that you created it, and there are people that want it. That
Mm-hmm.
see my vision of what we're trying to do here. So it's exciting. And I don't think I've got my money candle from next door, which is Ebony Sage.
That works because I did
It
that and
does.
it works.
The ching
Yeah.
ching,
Yeah.
the ching ching goes the money
I did
to.
with I buy mine with House of Intuition, but any money candle really
Oh
works.
yeah,
It's just the intention, the most important thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love
You
to
know,
talk to people that do the same things as I do.
I do too. My parents are like really religious, and they're like, I don't think you should be doing that. And I was like, they did it in the Bible. And my mom
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, but that was that was the Old Testament." I was like, that was the most important part was the Old Testament. They
Mhm.
burned candles, they put incense, they anointed, used anointing oil,
That's
and
what they
that's
do
all.
in the churches too. Those are rituals too. That's the thing. It's just
Yeah,
that it's that evil makes people believe that it's from evil, but it's really not. It's really from God that created
from
magic to
God.
help.
Yeah,
I've
and
been
I'm
studying alchemy, and that's absolutely true. I mean, if it were wrong, I would not be as well. And if what like we like really wrong, I would have had the things like right now, and
yeah.
that's still not happening. So no, you have to investigate about it and then get your own conclusions instead of thinking of things or believing in things because other people tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself that question.
That's
a lot of people don't really like Marilyn Manson, but I do. And he says something very important. He says, I'm not telling you what to believe or what not. Just ask yourself, do I believe in that or do I believe in that because I was told to believe in that?
hmm exactly.
And that gave me a lot of answers like, well, these things, were religious and it really didn't speak to me, so you grab what is useful for you and what is not, you just let it go,
hmm Well, that's
without
like
judging.
with raising children. You, I raised my children according to what I was raised with, and hopefully, now that they're grown, they've made their own choices to believe whatever they want to believe.
Yeah.
But that's all we can do. That's all we can do as parents is um, we raise them to what we believe, and that's
Yeah.
how things get carried down
See
from
how
generation
hard that
to
is?
generation.
See,
Yeah,
see how
you
hard
have
that
to
is
break
because
that
not
habit.
everybody has that mission of being a parent. It must
Yeah,
be very hard to teach them something and then see them do something else. That's
and
what God does with us, all the
yeah,
time.
you just do the best you can, and we honestly we have no choice how they turn out. We do the best we can,
Yeah.
and then they go their own way. And I've had problems as a mother, just like any other mother. My problems aren't different because I'm Lisa Robinson and raised 4 children.
Yeah.
My
Wow. Four
problems are the
children. Wow.
same as everybody else. You know, um, one was an alcoholic for a while, and thank God he's overcome that, and he's a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful man now. I hate
Oh,
to say that word, that my son is a man, but
oh,
because he's my baby still. And I was actually talking to my youngest baby last night, and he hates for me to call him baby. But I'm writing a book only for my children, and it's called Love
that's
Letters to My Children.
so sweet.
And
You know,
it's
my mom, sorry to interrupt you, my mom, when she stopped working before my dad passed away, she would have time to do my lunchbox. And every week, when the week would start, she would make a note to me. And I had those notes on a box, and I don't know where the hell they are. But it's
aw,
fine if I don't have them anymore. But I'll never forget that, you know. So it's great that you're doing that for your kids, and talking about that. If you want to know my input on that, I got really, really lost when I was younger, you know, especially in alcohol and partying, and you know, being with men, especially that I didn't have to be with, and you know, just wasting time and money on stupid things, and I was really off track. And for my mom, it must have been very hard, because my mom has been a widow since she's 38. My dad died when he was 46. So she had me when I was 15, and my sister was 11, and she had to work a lot, you know, to get us the same life that we used to have. So it must have been very hard for her to see, okay, is she going to be a black sheep, or is she going to like get
yeah,
white again? You know what's going to happen there. Not to give you an example, you know, because they say black sheep and white sheep, you know,
yeah, yeah.
not saying it
I know.
for any
Not to
concept,
offend
just
anybody.
in case, yeah. But it must have been very hard for her, because there wasn't anything that she could do. But she really
Yeah.
trusted that I would just find my track. She's like, I was just letting you learn by yourself, because I can teach you those things, and I would just trust that you would be protected, you know. And I'm very grateful that she did, because yeah, it was my decision, you know. And talking about suicide, you know, I think I said it this last time. First time I had that encounter, I was 12. I was 12 and I was at school. I was going through bullying. And at the beginning, I used to think that it was those kids' fault, but really, girls mostly, but it really wasn't there, because they were passing from other things, and I just took it the wrong way because of the abuse and stuff like that. I hated myself, didn't like myself. So I remember that people stopped talking to me like for 6 months. And at that time, my best friend that was from Argentina and was living in Guatemala, because her mother works at the embassy, she had to go back to Argentina. So she was my only friend. So I would get attached to things after that, because things, you know, they would not go unless I dumped them. And I would always try to look for that new best friend. But there's really just one Paola for me as her friend. So those are the things that just make you think, you know. I mean, you thought, well, maybe that's my only time that I went through that, but no, I've gone through suicide attempts several other times afterwards. And I could say not only that I'm a survivor, but that really it was my, you know, my will and my option to decide to not finish my life and to do something better with it. You know,
You know,
nobody forced me to survive, you know.
exactly. And I'm so proud of you for talking about that too, because I've talked about certain things and people would say, wow, if someone like you can talk about that, that's inspiring. And I think I told you this. I tried to commit suicide when I was 14 years old.
Yeah, you told me that's terrible.
And but the thing is that my situation was different. There was no reason for me to be depressed at that age. My father always has, and of course, you know, I'm the baby and the only girl. So my father has always given me and my brothers we had the greatest life growing up. We had swimming pool, we had a pool table. We lived in a 26 room house. It was an old house, but we lived in this huge house. We had 15 acres. We had motorcycles. There was absolutely no reason for me to suffer from depression. And being raised in the religion that I was raised back then, my father just thought he couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And later on, the religion came into recognizing real depression. And they started writing articles in the magazines and things like that about dealing with depression.
The
But
stigma and all that.
sometimes being raised in a strong religion can make you depressed.
Yeah,
I hate
me
to say
too.
it that way,
I
but
wasn't too. Like I was, evangelical and like super Catholic, and also like
yeah,
renovated Catholic and renovated Christian. Oh my God, yeah, it's hard. But and I used to say, you know what, these things, these certain things, I'm gonna wait until certain people are not alive anymore. I can't do that anymore
no,
because I mean, there's really no control. I'm not gonna wait years
mhm.
for that to happen. I can't
Yeah, we've
control for
got to
them to see the media or anything. So they have
we've
to
got
do
to
whatever.
control us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was in 2009, my second husband asked me for a divorce, and I honestly didn't know how I was going to make it through that.
Oh
I
my
I
God.
really didn't.
Wow.
And I know I almost lost my business. I remember being at my mom's. My mom and dad have a multi-level house. It's like 5 levels, and I was
Mm-hmm.
up at the very top. And I sing, and singing is
You
what
sing like
really,
me?
yeah,
Wow,
I
we have to
sing.
do a song
I know we
together.
should, but that is what I kind of saved me was singing and just getting it all out. But I remember I have the best mother. I love my mother. I adore my mother. She came up there one day because when he asked me for a divorce, he moved me out of the house that we had just built. And I didn't want to live in my house because that's where the two situations of domestic violence were. And even now, my daughter lives in that house, and I find it hard to go visit her living in that house.
Wow,
And
yeah.
no one should ever go through that. But I
No.
remember my mom coming up there because I was living with them. And I was just crying and crying and crying. And she goes, you'll get past this. And I looked at her and I said, no, I don't know that. And,
Well, you do, yeah.
I
A
just,
lie. I mean, you're just like. I feel like we always touch bottom the most that we are capable of in every area of our
yeah,
life. So yeah, definitely we're gonna get out of that. But I was gonna ask you, your 4 children, are they from the same person,
no,
or it's like half
no,
and half?
I'm a hoe. No, I'm sorry. No, three are from my first husband, and
Uh
then
huh.
one is from the neighbor.
From the name.
Now, I will say, I got to be honest, because Diego would probably kill me. Um, we were together for 11 years. So, and we had went to Louisiana and actually went through the marriage thing, and he did not file
The
the
paper.
paper that you filed. We're never married, and I didn't know this for a long time until I was wanting to get out of that situation, and then I'm like, I called the state of
Oh.
Louisiana because I never had a marriage license, and they're like, "You're not married. Y'all filed, but you never sent the papers back." And I think he did that on purpose, honestly.
Hmm.
And it worked out
Well,
good.
good for you. You're
I
just
know it
married
worked
once.
out good. But poor Diego, he's like, "Mom, I'm illegitimate." And I'm like, "Not really."
Oh my God.
But
I'm
my
going through that situation right now, actually, because I'm becoming a citizen. So I remember that the first time that they did interview for the green card, they just, I just really like, okay, like I understand that you guys are together, but how is it that you got married in 3 months without knowing each other? I'm like, I just recognized them from another life.
yeah,
I just knew. And I remember that the only person that I told to was my sister. I was like at the hotel at the Cosmo in Vegas. And I'm like, okay, I need to do this call. I call my sister. I'm like, I have to tell you something very important. And she's like, what? I'm like, I'm going to get married. What? I'm like, yeah. But how are you sure that he's the one? I'm like, I just know that he's the one. And she's
you
like,
know,
oh my God. I'm like, nobody ever knows. Just
you do
do,
know, though.
yeah.
You do know.
Yeah.
With first husband, the bad thing that I'm saying this is because he's on my Facebook page. Um, I asked
because
my mother the night before we got married. I asked my mother, I said, "How do you really know if they're the right one?" And she looked at me and she said, "If you have to ask, they're not the right one." And that makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
yeah, because not everybody's gonna be the one forever necessarily, but it could be the one for you at that time,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
the situation is, you know.
And look, I
Yeah.
got three gorgeous children out of that marriage. So, and even,
Very, very cute like you.
uh,
Yeah, very, very
yeah.
handsome people.
And
I've
even
seen the
Diego, he's my baby, and he's just the most beautiful boy ever. He's just gorgeous, and I'm so proud. I had to call him last night because I was like, I just have to tell you. And he goes, "Oh no, what do you got to tell me?" And I said, "Well, I told him about me writing the book, and I said when I was pregnant with you, I was working at Circle K. I was assistant manager at Circle K, and every day, every Friday when I got paid, I had to go to Taco Bell." He just died laughing. He goes, "That's why I like Taco Bells."
the same with my mom's like, well, they would tell me that a beer was fine. I'm like, it's your fault. That's why I like
Yeah,
that's why I
she
like beer.
started you out too young in the womb.
That is so funny. Yeah, it happened to my mom once when I was a baby. There was one time that I would just sleep all day. So she went to the doctor. I'm like, my child is breathing, but she's sleeping all day. So he asked, right? My pediatrician was the same guy that brought me to this world. So he asked you, Rita, did you take a beer? She's like, yeah. And have you been giving her, milk? Because I didn't take much milk from my mom, but at that time I think she was trying to do it. So it kind of did, give
Yeah,
me
you got a
my
little bit.
first party hangover. That was really funny. Yeah, so many stories, right? She always, I love to hear her when she says all those stories, because it's just like I really relive them, just so
And
exciting.
that's why I want to write this book because we're not going to be here forever, and my children will be here hopefully a lot longer than after I'm gone. And I want them to have memories not only of their life with me, but what it was like to be when I was pregnant with them. What was
Mhm.
I listening to? Because I remember my favorite song with all four of them. And
Oh,
that's in the book, that this is what my favorite food was when I was pregnant with you. This is what I was listening to. And I just think it's a beautiful thing to leave them and, just to have.
know what
Like we have
it's their
baby books
legacy.
of them.
It's their legacy. Is their memories. So their children's from children, all that they can read that as well. And
Yeah.
like a legend. And actually, all of those things that you're explaining make sense in the type of people they are today. You know,
Mhm.
so it would be very interesting to know. Okay, what did my mom eat when she was waiting for what she listened to? All those things are very connected because remember that we're alive the moment that we have been conceived. So that's
That's
super
true.
interesting. I love that. It's kind of like this movie. Remember the Notebook when she writes
Yeah.
that book and she says, "Whenever I don't, I'll read this to me and I'll come back to you." Yeah, something like that. So that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah. And I want them to have really good memories because, like me and you were talking about the other day, with a lot of one of the domestic violence situations that I had, I hid for 10 years. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't process it. And I just feel guilty sometimes because they could have had a better mother if that not had not happened.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I've let go of that guilt because it wasn't my guilt to hold. That was that person that hurt me. That's his guilt. It's not mine. But I do feel bad that I let 10 years go by, and that's why I'm a strong advocate for domestic violence. So that don't do what I did. Go get the
Don't
help.
wait.
Yeah, get the help.
No, and Louise Hay, which by the way, she just passed away like 1 or 2 years ago. Something they'll never forget. She said, "You act the way you act, and that time of your life because that's the best way or what you know to do at that time. So
True.
yeah, if years pass, you'll do it different, but then it wouldn't make sense.
True.
So it's good to tell that to somebody to avoid from them to do it that way. Because if you analyze, if you've seen conferences and people like that give you certain advice, it has helped you to not that same mistake, because it's not for you to make. Same thing has happened to me. So for a part, it's good that it happened to us, because we are that that example for other people.
Mm-hmm.
So they just basically make the mistakes that they have to make, but not the ones that they don't, because the mistakes that we do make do not define us, but do make us better. But we're
That's,
not supposed to make the same thing. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And that's what I want to come across to people is don't make the same mistakes I made. And I don't mind talking about that mistake of not getting help. That was the mistake, was not getting the
Mm-hmm.
help. But I didn't know either. I mean,
Yeah,
back
you didn't
then
know.
was a long ago, and I had never, ever, ever heard of domestic violence. My first husband was wonderful. We never fought. I mean, we might have fought 2 or 3 times in the whole 10 years we were together.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand any of that kind of action. And being raised in a strong religious background, we were taught better. You know, we were, I
Yeah,
don't even
because
know how to say
when you're being abused, you don't understand. There's a lot of people that are going, especially either through whatever type, either physical or emotional or psychological, whatever. They don't understand because it's normal for them, because it's
yeah,
what it's familiar. It's what Marissa Peer says, one of the most great, the greatest the therapists in the world, I would say. So you basically have to work with you are enough, and that's what happened to me. That's why I wanted to commit suicide when I was 20, when I was 12,
yeah,
because when I waited 7 years to tell my mom about the abuse, but it's because I didn't
yeah.
understand what was happening until they explained to me what sex was. I'm like, that's what happened to me, when I was 4,
Hmm.
because I don't remember a lot when I was 4, but that I do remember because it
Yeah,
affected my psyche.
yeah. And I know, and I've never really told anybody this except my mom, and she was really upset when I did tell her. When I was 10, my grandmother died. Now, before that time, I used to stay at my grandparents' house all the time. I never wanted to go home because I wanted to stay there. And right after my grandmother died, I used to sleep with my grandfather because he didn't sleep with her because she had cancer and she was in like a hospital bed, and his bed was next to her. And then he also had another bedroom too. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I used to sleep with him, and after she died, I think I was about 12 maybe, and I was sleeping with him and he touched my breast and he goes, "Oh, look what I found." And thank God, thank
Mm-hmm.
God that I had the sense about me to go, "Papa, don't do that, don't do that." And then
Yeah, like, what
I
are you
never
doing?
slept with him again. And I told my mom, I don't want to spend the night over there without my brother.
No.
And not that I believe that he would have ever done anything else, because this is a grandfather that I thought like God. I looked more up to this my grandfather than my father, because my father was at work all the time. He was never home. So my grandfather was my person, you know. And
But this is this thing with these people from, I'm sorry to say, not old people, but people from other generations, that they're not taught that those things are bad,
yeah,
you know? And it's like, oh, well, that's women's fault because they don't give themselves to respect. No, it's just that it's
yeah,
both things. We both have this responsibility. So that's why people would say, well, the Me Too thing is, is already used up. No, it's not,
no,
because it's talking about a lot of generations. It's not just about what happened right now with Harvey Weinstein. It's
hmm,
what happened all this time.
yeah,
Like that person that did that to me. Maybe nothing happened to him. Maybe he thought it was okay to touch kids because he
yeah,
was a pediatrician.
yeah,
But
yeah.
how was he gonna know if he wasn't talked about? You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's not about, well,
Nobody
now I
talked
can't
about
tell
it.
you. Yeah, and now I can't tell you if you look pretty. No, that's a lie, because people know when you are saying or when you're touching appropriately or inappropriately,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. You know, I was a guest speaker I was on a panel a couple years ago, and the first one we went to with all the guys there, and I'm more friends with men than I am women, not in a
Me too.
sexual way, but I'm just more friendly. I'm comfortable around men. And the first year, we were all hugging. Oh, it's so good to see you, hugging and everything. And then the next year, they were like standoffish.
Yeah,
And
because they don't
and I'm
know what to do, you know.
yeah, and actually one of them is in LA, and he has a business that I'm going to have to do business with at some point. And now we're both kind of like, what do we do? You can't hug each other, of course, with
But I
Corona
think
now.
is
Anyway,
communication the most important thing, you
yeah,
know, because if you've always hugged this friend of yours and you've never felt anything bad, it should be fine. But then you would have to have that communication with him to say, you know, it's fine. I know that you're not doing it that way.
yeah,
Know? So I think it's about that. It's a tacky thing because people feel uncomfortable talking about that, but that's how they feel comfortable about other topics. So it's just about talking
hmm,
about it, you know, because yeah, I mean, there's certain relationships, let's say with certain cousins I had, that they never did it, you know, to not respect me. But let's say I always had a big butt, so in my family everybody would be always slamming me, and I know that they never did it in that way, you know.
yeah,
Let's say
yeah,
that I would feel now as a 36-year-old woman, I would feel uncomfortable with that. Well, they wouldn't do it, but because I don't, sometimes I'm not going to even need to communicate that. It's because it's the way that I protect my space. So
hmm,
you know, it's just that's something very common that in Spanish is called date a respetar, which give yourself, so show people how they should respect yourself,
I
but
like
you
that.
respect yourself first. You know, yeah.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
computer's gonna die.
Oh no. Well, let's talk about the pageant real quick, about the
Yeah.
Christmas pageant.
Yeah. Let's do that. I am so excited. Woo! You know
So
what?
tell me your
I'm
ideas.
gonna bring you my Christmas cheer. You know, there.
Okay. All right. So you've got a bunch of ideas for us. So let's talk about it. And like I said a while ago, I want you after the first of the year, just so everybody knows, Rita's going to be working with us with the
Hey,
company.
woo!
Woo. And so Rita's going to be helping me with the pageant because kind of she knows more about it than me. I'm a talent agent and a producer. I don't know how pageants work, but I'm learning. So give us your idea for this Xmas pageant.
Well, I think that this one, well, all of them are special, but this one's very peculiar in this
Yeah,
sense because it's a COVID year, right? COVID pageant.
yeah, yeah. It's
So
online. We'll do an
yeah,
online.
so I've done online stuff before, but it didn't have the same awareness per se because not everybody would, you know, check things online. For
Hmm.
example, with my mother, for sure, I would FaceTime her because, you know, she's my mom. But there's a lot of people that I started talking till now because even though I was in another country or I am in another country, they were not used to Zoom and FaceTime, but now they are.
Hmm.
So I think that's very, you know, it's about really, you know, talking about what has happened this year, how we have grown, and what we would like for next year. You know, so to have women to really represent that inspiration, that motivation about not just goal setting, you know, but really like motivating people to make their life design. You know, I
Yeah.
did this course. It's called Life Book by in Mind Valley, which by the way I got it for free with a rebate, and it changed my life. I categorized my life in 12 different areas, and I designed each area to be in a certain way how I would like it to be. So I think that the beauty queens this year should, and I call them beauty queens because beauty is not just here; it's
That's
inside, it's
right.
all around. So really not like in the pageant when they pass you the microphone, you say, well, what are you, what, it's not just about that. It's just about, okay, what would you be like, spoken persons, you know, like spoken people, like kind of like you know, like a public image, you know, and say, you know, this and this year, you know, stuff like that, you know. And Christmas, because Christmas is the time of giving, is the
Yeah.
time of forgiving, of letting go. So I just see it like that, And what I would do is that I would give a little bit of the secret, and that would be my gift to you, And I'm really eager to see what other women are going to join us
Mhm,
because it's really nice. I mean, what we give is like very symbolic donation that
mhm,
probably covers our stash, and maybe depending on who gets in, we can get donate some of that money to a cause or to causes.
mhm. We
And
get sponsors.
yeah, yeah, basically that's how I feel, that the ideas that I would like, for this pageant, obviously dressing up,
Right.
because it's being the best version of yourself.
Yeah, and
So
I'll post the link to the pageant website when we're done in this post. I will post the link to that.
and give good news. I
Yeah,
think people are tired of bad news. We need
yeah.
like something happy. Woo, let's
We'll
celebrate.
we'll add a blog to the site too. That's something me and you can run is the blog. And anybody that wants to contribute, we'll let them contribute to the blog. And my of course I like we were saying a while ago, I want our platform to be domestic violence. And I want
Yes,
it to be our
let's
doc
focus on that for sure.
yeah, yeah. And because I know before each delegate had their own platform. And for me, that was a little confusing. You had to keep up with each person's platform.
No,
And
it's better to centralize it and then you have
yeah,
your own.
now I do have to say that when I was in Albuquerque, we went to, we got a lot of donations.
Oh, it's
And
so
what we did was like one of the little Miss girls that was in the
uh-huh.
pageant, her platform was animals. So we went and bought dog food and cat food, and we took it to the shelter. That was what we did with that money.
Yeah,
And then,
that's a great idea with girls too. Like, hey, what do you want to be when you dream, even if it's a dream. I mean, so many people that have excelled in pandemics or in plagues, like Shakespeare. So yeah,
yeah.
let's do that. Yeah, I like that.
And then there's a wonderful place in Albuquerque, a nonprofit, which is called Who Am I Foundation. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we raised $200. So we went to Dollar Tree and the little packs of like toothpaste, toothbrush in one little pack. We bought
Mm-hmm.
that. We bought socks because we found out that one of the number one things that homeless people need is socks. So we bought a bunch of socks. We bought some book bags, and
Hats or something.
we gave it to them, and they stuffed these book bags and took it out to the homeless. I love that. And at some point in my life, I want to do more for the Who Am I Foundation because I thought that was the most wonderful
So many
thing.
foundations that need your help. Look what Gina see the back is saying. Hi, Gina. She says,
Thank you.
teenage DV is what I would like to focus on. I love that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that because we all have to have. It's like the angels, they all have different jobs because
yeah.
that's what we need. Like diversity in what we do. So that's great. So I like to
There
close
was
on that
actually a girl
because
here
my
in
my my, my computer's gonna kick me out.
well, if we lose you, I'll just talk for you.
Okay, thank you.
But there was a young girl here that was dating a young man and she was trying to get away from him and she called her father to come meet her and somehow the boy killed her before her father could even get to her. And that was just the most horrible story. I mean, I still get goosebumps when I think about it. So, yeah, Gina's got a really good point. We need to focus on teaching girls when they're in the beginning dating stage that there's certain traits that you need to look for and you need to steer away from that particular person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll wrap up, but because I know you're going to die, and then I don't want to do this by myself. But we'll get back on. We'll just let everybody know Rita is a regular on the show, so we'll get back on and we'll talk about many other things, and we'll talk about the pageant some more. And I will list any websites in the bottom. Rita, is there any place that you want anybody to be directed to?
Oh yeah, at Rita Casman on Instagram or
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter. I also have TikTok. Well, that's harder to find, but because it has another name. But yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Those are like my principal platforms. So you can definitely check that out in case you would like to connect with me more.
Okay. I noticed Gina said her daughter's still in a violent relationship, and that's so
We
sad.
got to talk about
So
that with
we got
Gina.
to talk about it. And well, actually, Gina is going to be on the show. I think we decided in January. She's got a lot of stuff
Awesome.
going on right now. I love Gina. You know Gina. She was Miss
Yeah,
New
that's
Mexico. Yeah. So you'll be on that show with Gina and I, and we'll just talk about what we need to talk about.
awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you
All
so much,
right.
Lisa, for your time. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody, for listening. And we'll see you next week then.
That's right. Bye, everybody.